they turned on themselves. Notice what it says. The army fled. They took off running. The Bible tells us that Gideon and them, they chased him. They chased him down. They chased him out of the country. A lot of people's lives were lost that day, but they didn't take one. They took their own lives as they were trying to, they were thinking they were battling the Israelites, and they were just battling each other in the dark. Notice what happens in the story. Then the Israelites said to Gideon, "Be our ruler." Gideon, you are it. You know, Gideon, you be our ruler. You and your son and your grandson will be our rulers, for you have rescued us from Midian. Notice what he says. But Gideon replied, "I will not rule over you, nor will my son. The Lord will rule over you." Now notice this. They wanted a leader. They wanted Gideon to take the charge and say, "Gideon, we want to make you king. We will worship you." And Gideon says, "Look, guys, God is your king, not me, not my kids." This story makes me think of, you know, what exactly do we put ahead of God in our lives? A lot of things. Relationships, money, houses. What do we place in front of God? What do we desire to be our king over the one true Lord? Notice what it says. However, I do have one request. Gideon says this. I do have one request, that each of you give me an earring from the plunder you collected from your fallen enemies. Notice what it says. The enemies, being Ishmaelites, all wore gold earrings. And he says, I want you to take one earring from each of the ones who died and give it to me. And notice, the Bible says that they did that. And Gideon made this sacred ephod from the gold and put it in Ophrah, his hometown. Now, what is this ephod thing? It was like a garment that the high priest would wear, that the priests at the temple would wear. And Gideon made one out of gold. Some commentators believe maybe Gideon was taking on a position that didn't belong to him as a priest. You know, somebody that represented the people to God. Notice what happened. It says, Gideon made this sacred thing, he put it in his hometown, but soon all the Israelites prostituted themselves by worshiping it and became a trap for Gideon and his family. Now think about this. Gideon wanted this earring, and he makes this temple garment out of gold, and the people started worshiping it again. Amazing. Notice what it says. This is the story of how the people of Israel defeated Midian, which never recovered. Throughout the rest of Gideon's lifetime, about 40 years, there was peace in the land. As soon as Gideon died, the Israelites, what did? They prostituted themselves by worshiping the image of Baal and making Baal-berith their god. And they forgot the Lord their God, who had rescued them from all their enemies surrounding them. Nor did they show any loyalty to the family of Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, despite all the good they had done for Israel. Now, stay with me for just a couple more seconds, a couple more minutes. Gideon, called by God to go and do this miraculous thing. God was willing to meet him where he was at, right? He didn't have enough faith at certain times, and God allowed him to, God did some things to show, I'm really with you, Gideon. And then God takes his army of 32,000 down to 300, and he lets him have the victory. They want to make him their king. And Gideon says, look, just worship God. The Bible says for 40 years, there was peace in the land. As long as Gideon was there was peace in the land. As soon as he dies, the Bible says they went back to their old ways. A couple things I want to just share from this story. Where are you today in your life? Do you have enough faith to trust that God will take you where you're at and he'll walk with you through whatever you're going through? Where are you at? Gideon was hiding in a winepress. Some people hide from God. They don't want to do what he says. Where are you at this morning? He's willing to meet you where you're at. Do you need God to do a miracle in your life? I got word that another person that I know has cancer, and it may be terminal. You know what, guys? God is bigger than cancer. He's bigger than AIDS. He's bigger than a job loss. He's bigger than a struggling marriage. He's bigger than that. Where is it that you need to say, God, show up? I think it's impossible, God, but just show up and just do something, Lord. Now, let me ask the third question. Is your God king? Is God king in your life? Or is there something else on the throne? And it's such a constant struggle for us, guys. We like to be on the throne once in a while to say, you know what, I'm the one that calls the shots in my life. I'm the one. You know, when they wanted to make Gideon king, he says, no, you go and worship God. That's the person you need to be worshiping. Guys, what is your king today? What is on the throne of your life that's keeping you from following God? Great story. True story. True holy story that God gives us in the Bible. I think we can learn a lot from a guy like Gideon if we just say, Lord, what do you want me to know today? Let's bow our heads for a word. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much that you're such a good God. And that you love us and that you're willing to meet us exactly where we're at. Now, God, in a room this size, I'm sure that there's people who struggle in their faith. Lord, sometimes I struggle. I'll admit it. Lord God, there's sometimes that we struggle to do what you want us to do, and we want some sign or something to prove that we should do this, Lord, when you've already just said go. Lord, help us to not use prayer as an excuse, to not get up and go. Lord, I just pray that you would do a miracle in our life. Lord, you know where we need one. You know, you're here today. I just wanted to ask you to ask God to do a miracle in that area of your life. Go for it, just right now, quietly. Just ask God to do something amazing. The Bible says he works in the realm of the impossible. Let me encourage you to put God on first place in your life. To put him back on the throne. And be willing to worship him every day. And when you find yourself kicking God off and you putting yourself first place, just be reminded of the story of Gideon and the judges where the people continue to just go back to their old ways. Let's not do that, guys. Lord, help us not to do that. Heavenly Father, we pray for all those who are here this morning. If you're here this morning, you don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ, you've never given your heart to him, that's the first thing you do. And you do that by just saying a simple prayer. Something like this. Say it to God. If you mean it, he'll hear you. Say, God, come into my life. Help me to put you first. I want you to be my king. I don't want to keep ruling my own life. Just keep messing it up. God, come into my life. Help me to follow you as best I can. Thank you for Jesus, that he made a way so that we can go to heaven. And that he made a way that my sins can be forgiven through his death on the cross. And that we're going to go to heaven because he rose again to prove who he was. I give you my life today. Lord, again, thank you so much for the story of Gideon. In Jesus' name.